Thank you, Tamika. Good evening and welcome to tonight's regional news. The Inter-American Development Bank (IDB) said on Wednesday it would mobilize $1 billion to help countries in Latin America and the Caribbean acquire and distribute COVID-19 vaccines, adding to some $1.2 billion already committed in 2020. Latin America's main development lender said it would also continue to provide funding for other public health measures such as effective testing and tracing and better clinical management of COVID-19 patients. Latin America has been disproportionately hard hit by the pandemic, accounting for about 33% of the world's death from COVID-19. Although it only accounts for 9% of the global population. The IDB said the extra funds will help countries buy individual doses of vaccines through multilateral efforts, such as the World Health Organization's COVAX program, develop effective vaccine deployment mechanisms, and build immunization capacity. Now in the Twin Island Republic. Over 100 Trinidad and Tobago nationals were expected back home on Wednesday evening as the government continued its repatriation exercises for the Christmas period. In fact, over 400 nationals, some of them stranded abroad by the COVID-19 virus since the borders were closed in March, will be back home before Christmas Day, although they will have to spend the festive season in quarantine. During a COVID-19 media briefing, Principal Medical Officer Dr. Miriam Abdul-Richards assured that exercises to bring nationals back home will not burden the parallel healthcare system, as there are available spaces throughout state quarantine facilities. She said at present, the Ministry of Health had 13 state and state-supervised facilities, with 2 of the facilities being reserved for high-risk populations, such as the elderly and persons who may not be able to quarantine amongst typical population. Meanwhile, there is still no confirmation on which COVID-19 vaccine will be procured by the government, despite the fact that it is already making preparations for its arrival. Abdul-Richards said consultations were ongoing over which treatment will be the most effective. Through the COVAX facility, the government had allocated $9 million to secure over 450,000 vaccines. A number of manufacturers have already begun rolling out vaccines, but there are particular specifications that must be met before government makes a purchase. Now in Brazil registered over 70,000 new cases of the coronavirus on Wednesday, a daily record, bringing the country's total caseload above 7 million as a second wave of infections slammed the South American country. Brazil has the second deadliest COVID-19 outbreak in the world, behind only the United States, with over 180,000 deaths from the highly contagious respiratory virus. Wednesday's record came without even the daily numbers from Sao Paulo state, the nation's most populous, which has been the epicenter of the outbreak. In a statement, the Sao Paulo state government said it had been unable to upload the data because of technical issues. The nation registered 70,574 new infections on Wednesday, bringing the total number of confirmed coronavirus cases to 7,040,608 cases. The previous record for new cases occurred on July 29, when the Health Ministry recorded 69,074 cases. And internationally, a host of European leaders are self-isolating after the French President Emmanuel Macron tested positive for COVID-19. Mr. Macron, 42, will self-isolate for 7 days while working remotely. The French president attended a number of high-profile events in recent days, including an EU summit. Following his diagnosis, several other European leaders, including the Spanish Prime Minister, said they would self-isolate. That was all for tonight's regional news. Thank you for joining. Back to you, Tamika.